What's up, guys? If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Also, please smash that like button on the video and enjoy the show.
The role model of pirates, Henry Avery. He'd served in the Royal Navy in the 1690s, an officer on a ship that had been commissioned, a business deal between some very powerful people in England and the Spanish government. And then the owners screwed him and his crew over, not pay them, and he led a mutiny. He seized the vessel that he was on in the harbor in Corona, Spain. Early inspirational figure named Henry Avery, who had his big pirate exploits were in 1696, 1697. And I'd say he's the individual and the figure that sort of creates the proof of concept and the role model for this next generation of pirates that kind of burst into fruition and, you know, alter the world and give us this sort of culture of the pirate anti-hero.
What was Henry Avery's background? Like, where was he from?
So Henry Avery was English, and he was he'd served in the Royal Navy and was in the late 1690s an officer on a ship that had been commissioned. It was kind of a business deal between some very powerful people in England and the Spanish government during a time of peace to create a trade expedition that could make a whole pile of money because it would be the first English trade, connected with Spain and be conducted under the King of Spain's rule. And anyway, he was a legitimate officer in this fleet of vessels. And then the owners basically screwed him and his crew over, and were going to kind of leave them to become sort of prisoners of the Spanish and not pay them. And he led a mutiny because they had been so cheated. Yeah, a mutiny. And he seized the vessel that he was on in the harbor in Corona, Spain, and like escaped under the guns of a fort, and then sailed out of Spain and around the Horn of Africa and started this crazy and kind of terrifyingly brutal raids of shipping coming in and out of the Red Sea.
Guys, if you'd like to join our Patreon by hitting the link in the description below, not only does it support our show and allow us to get great guests like this and put out more content, but you're going to get exclusive access to the Julian and Alessi show, which is the show we post only on Patreon. That's with my producer, Alessi Alaman, and I, as well as some behind-the-scenes content and some extra content with guests. So hit that link in the description below, and I hope to see you over there.
And his most famous capture that kind of vaulted him into mythology was capturing the treasure ship that belonged to the Grand Mogul of India, essentially the ruler of India at the time. His vessel that was coming, from the pilgrimage to Mecca, loaded with all kinds of treasures and stuff, and some of the ruler's relatives. Henry Avery and his crew captured this vessel and a pile of treasure worth just staggering sums, an empire, an imperial fortune. And what made him sort of a mythological figure is he kind of got away with it, right? They took this treasure and his men kind of scattered, and there was an all-points bulletin out for him because the most powerful forces in England, the most powerful interests were the English East India Company. And the East India Company was trading in India, and the Grand Mogul was, essentially the trading partner. Grand Mogul is furious. An English pirate has, attacked his ship and killed crewmen and raped some of his family members and stolen all his treasure. He's furious and is actually sending troops to arrest English diplomats in India in the trading ports, and it cut off all trade. So this has messed up global trade. It's messed up England's most important trade partnership. So Henry Avery is like the subject of the world's first global manhunt. Everyone's trying to get him, right? The entire English Empire, the Grand Mogul of India, capture this guy dead or alive. So everyone's trying to find him. And he is skedaddled out of the Red Sea, and he goes all the way to the last place anyone he thinks will be looking for him, which happens to be Nassau in the Bahama Islands.
Why do you think people wouldn't look for him there? This is out by where, the colonies are.
This is out in the Caribbean, right off the coast of Florida, half a world away from where everyone's really expecting him to be. And he goes there and shows up under the fort, and he goes to Nassau and the Bahamas are this impoverished backwater of an English colony. It's not a rich place. It's barely surviving. Later, it gets sacked in various wars. It's a third-rate colony and very weak and fragile. And English hold over it is pretty weak too. And the governor is a weak man, at least morally. Henry Avery claiming to be, a man named Captain Bridgman, and claiming to have found this vessel he's sailing on out in the sea, essentially says, hey, I've got a whole bunch of ivory tusks and rare gold and, Arab coins and stuff. I'll give you a chunk of it, and I'll sell you. I'll throw in this ship if you, fence my goods and sell me some sloops, some escape vessels. And wink, wink, nudge, nudge. The governor essentially does that. So at the time when there's this global manhunt for Henry Avery, led by London and the court of St. James, one of England's own governors is buying the goods and selling him as getaway vehicles. Exactly. That's how the world operated
moolah,
then.
Baby.
You got it.
That's
and
it.
So
they're not taking care of him enough,
right. You got it. Men scattered. They sold the Grand Mogul's vessel to the governor, who ended up kind of leaving it on the shores of what's now Paradise Island in the Bahamas, but was then Hog Island. And they all skedaddle on small vessels. They go up the East Coast. Some of them end up in Philly. Some of them end up in Rhode Island briefly. But they all seem to be circling back to make a backstage return to England. Everyone's looking for them over in the Red Sea, and they've snuck all the way around and land in Ireland and then transport over Ireland and are coming back to England. Henry Avery is last seen with a whole big pile of treasure and another man's wife at a crossroads in Ireland, apparently bound towards the West Country of England, where he's from.
For him.
And poof, he disappears.
Love that.
And it starts this mythology, though. Here's like Robin Hood, right? A guy who stood up for his crew members. It was like, enough's enough. We're tired of being exploited. We're going to seize this vessel, seizes an incredible amount of treasure and disappears. And then rumors go about as to what happened to him. People speculate, and it becomes this pop culture phenomenon in the 1690s and the early 1700s, where all of the elements of entertainment culture of the era are all featuring the Henry Avery story. There are plays about him on Drury Lane. There's, sonnets written about him, histories of the great pirate Henry Avery. And in all of these, they have these wild fantasies about where he is and what he's done with his treasure.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.